Welcome back to the Old World Game Master. A bard that only knows how to insult an enemy is a comedian. A bard that knows the effectiveness of their cantrips is a puppet master. Considering this difference, we are going to take a look at bard cantrips to see which ones are the more effective and which ones not to get ever. Starting with Blade Ward. Now, Blade Ward is a cantrip, it's a concentration cantrip that lasts for 1 minute and increases your AC from 1 to 4, depending on a d4 that the enemy has to roll. Consider that for a fighter to increase their armor class by 1, they need to pick a specific fighting style, defense. This is a cantrip. You can do it whenever you want. So this cantrip is effective. It may not be flashy, but it's for sure effective if you are a bard and you are maybe in melee with an enemy. It's an action, so yes, you lose your turn when you cast it, unless you casted it before the fight. So for sure this is, for me, is always a must-have. Dancing Lights. Dancing Lights is one of those cantrips that personally I don't like. It's 1 minute concentration, like Blade Ward, to create light. Now, consider that you also have the light cantrip available. No concentration, lasts for 1 hour. So what's the point of using dancing lights when you can use light? In addition, you can create 4 torch-sized lights within range. You may use them to distract an enemy, yes, I've seen that done in some games. There are other cantrips that do this thing better. Why losing your action for a concentration light that lasts 1 minute? In case you have to choose, because maybe you are human or another race, another species without dark vision, light is better for me. Friends is a concentration, 1 minute again. However, for a bard, these may be useful. The target must succeed in a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition for the duration. The target succeeds automatically if it isn't a humanoid. If you're fighting it, or if you have cast the spell on it within the past 24 hours. It's pretty restrictive, being a cantrip, but the main point for me that make me kind of dislike this cantrip is when the spell ends, the target knows it was charmed by you, which means it will probably become hostile against you. Unless you pair this cantrip with this guy's self, using just this cantrip, consider it's 1 minute. So I don't see, it's really difficult to use it, leave, and then let the target be pissed off at you after you've left, all in 1 minute. So if you pair this with this guy's self, I see the usefulness of this. But otherwise, it's kind of a, double-bladed razor. So pay attention using this. Light, we just discussed it with Dancing Lights. So Mage Hand. Mage Hand is one of those cantrips that if you don't get, I always wonder why. Because it's really useful to have an additional hand that lasts 1 minute for a cantrip to do any kind of shenanigans, like open doors, pull a lever to be sure there is no trap behind the door or trap after we pull a lever. This is always used. There will be no reason ever to get this. So this is for me a must-have. Mending. Mending, this spell repairs a single break or tear in an object you touch, such as a broken chain link, 2 halves of a broken key, a torn cloak, and so on. As long as the break or tear is no larger than 1 foot in any dimension. So it's a good cantrip if you want to be the, if you want to repair stuff during your adventure. This is on the good side for me as a spell. It's not all powerful, remember, it must be 1 foot maximum. And this spell can physically repair a magic item, but it can't restore magic to such an object. So it's just for physical issues. So I would get it if I've already got all the must-have spells. Message. Message lasts 1 round, not 1 minute, 1 round. It's a range of 120 feet, which is very good, and it's basically free telepathy. You point towards a creature within range and whisper a message. The target, and only the target, hears the message and can reply in whisper that only you can hear. So it's basically free telepathy. This is good if you are sneaking some places and you want to send a message to one of your party members. Very useful. Or if you want to tell something to a party member that is talking to someone, this is good. I would get this. This is like mending. It's something you would get when you've got all of your must-haves. Minor illusion. Minor illusion is very powerful. It lasts 1 minute. You create a sound or an image, not both, unless you are an illusionist, of an object within a range that lasts for the duration. If a creator takes a study action to examine the sound or image, the creator can determine that it is an illusion with a successful intelligence investigation check. Now, at the very least, you can create something and let the creator, like an enemy, waste their action to study it. You can trick enemies, distract them. You can do a lot of stuff with this. So this is, for me, a must-have. Almost always. Also, it doesn't require verbal component, which means it's a silent spell. Prestidigitation lasts. Okay, you create a magical effect within range. Choose the effect from the options below. Okay. If you cast this spell multiple times, you can have up to 3 of its non-instantaneous effects active at a time. It lasts for 1 hour, has a range of 10 feet. So remember, if you create something like an object, if it leaves the 10 feet from you, it disappears. You can create a sensory effect, like harmless sensory, like a shower of sparks, puff of wind, faint musical notes, odd odor. This is useful to trick enemies, but remember the range. It's really close to you. Fireplay, you instantaneously light a snuff out, a candle, a torch, small campfire. Cleaner soil, minor sensation, you can chill, warm, or flavor up to 1 cubic foot of non-living material for 1 hour. You make a color, a small mark, or a symbol appear on an object or a surface for 1 hour. You create a non-magical trinket or an illusory image that can fit in your hand. it lasts until the end of your next turn. A trinket can deal no damage and does no monetary worth. So there are some minor wonders you can do with this. I still think that this is less useful than minor illusion, but if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Starry Wisp. Starry Wisp is the damage cantrip I would get as a bard. It has good damage, 1d8, and it is radiant. Radiant damage is probably the best. Someone says the Force is the best, someone says radiant. The difference is this. Force, we have one creator in the entire Dungeons & Dragons that is immune to Force. Radiant, there are no creators immune to Radiant, and you only have 4 creators resistant to Radiant. So I would say that both are on the same plane, and having a cantrip to deal Radiant damage is huge. So this is the damaging cantrip you should take. Thunderclap. This is a small area of effect, but it's a Constitution saving throw, and the damage is decent. It's not the best. It's a good type of damage, because among the elemental damages, the thunder is the best. But still, Constitution saving throw, this will be probably worthless when you go up in levels. However, it's a cantrip and it has an area of effect, so do not discard it too soon. True Strike. This is one of those cantrips that can be S tier or C tier, if we want to use those levels. If you are a melee fighter like Valor Bard, this is pretty good. If you're a blaster, this is totally useful, so it depends on your build. However, if you are going Valor Bard route, this is probably a must-have for you. It does not only add radiant damage to your weapon, but also you can use your spellcasting ability. You have to use your spellcasting ability for the attack and damage rolls, which in your case would be Charisma. So if you go in melee, this is a must-have. Or not only melee, I mean if you're going with any weapon. Vicious Mockery, this is the cantrip that is only available to a bard, and it's the cantrip that kind of defines a bard. The damage is very good, it's psychic. It's a decent damage, 1d6, and the target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw that for monsters is probably the best to target. However, the damage is on the lower side compared to Starry Wisp. The good thing is that in addition to the damage, you get the enemy gets disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn. So, as a bard, I would go with Starry Wisp first, and maybe Vicious Mockery as a second. And that's it. There are no more cantrips available to the bard, so I hope you like this video, and drop me a comment below the video if you have questions or if you don't agree with what I said, which is perfectly fine, of course. Anybody has their own opinions on many of these cantrips, and I agree that depending on the build you have, some will be useful and some won't. So, up to your build, let me know. Thank you for stay with me, and see you next time on the Old World Game Master.